Welcome to the 2024 schedule release presented by Dreamfinders Homes. I'm Kainani Stevens. JP Shadrick and John Oehser are with me as we go over this year's 2024 schedule for the Jaguars. We're going to start out with the first 5 weeks of the season as we now have the official dates and locations and times for you. Week 1 is going to be in Miami on the road. Week 2 will be back here at home at Everbank Stadium against the Browns. Week 3 will be Monday Night Football, a primetime matchup for the Jaguars at Buffalo for that. Then week 4 will be at the Texans, and then week 5 will be back here in Jacksonville against the Colts. JP, when you look at the beginning of this schedule, what are your first thoughts?
Well, I mean, how difficult it could be. All these road games against really good teams. I mean, the Miami Dolphins are one of the fastest teams in the NFL, and they'll be fresh and ready to go out of the gate in Miami in the heat. The Browns coming in here. We'll see what the quarterback situation is, but Myles Garrett on the other side, obviously. And then at Buffalo on Monday night, they've got some changes and some firepower on offense, but they still have the quarterback to get it done and a raucous environment. At Houston, the division champ, C.J. Stroud, and then another division rival in the Colts, John. I mean, this is a really tough start with all these road games against contending teams.
Well, yeah, the first 4 games are against teams that made the playoffs last year. If you look at the first 3, 11 wins, 11 wins, 11 wins. Look, it's the NFL. So I've never seen an easy NFL schedule. The good news for the first 5 games, if you come out ready, if you come out playing well, you can get a real leg up. It's really tough. I mean, they go to London next after this. I think looking at this, you'd like to be 3-2, treading water above that, because, you know, with the caveat of it's always tough, this is a tough first month.
John, as you mentioned, they're going to head to London after this. That will be particularly tough. And of course, we've mentioned they're now going to play 2 games there as they did last season. That first game is going to be the away game. That will be against the Bears at Tottenham. And then they will play their home game at Wembley. That will be against the New England Patriots. Coming back, they'll have a home game against the Packers. And then they will head up to Philly for Sunday Night Football, another primetime matchup against the Eagles. John, were you surprised to see they were going to do 2 games in London again? And what does it mean this time to be playing away first, if anything at all?
I don't think I guess there's some nuances with the when you play over there. I don't think that's the big picture of this quarter of the schedule. I think you need to hold serve over there. I think after winning 2 last year, you feel like you know how to navigate that. You feel like that should give you some advantage in a league where small advantages make a difference. JP, to me, the big thing about this quarter is you've got 2 games to start off against teams with losing records last year and probably rookie quarterbacks. But then, boy, you've got a tough stretch at the end in 2 playoff teams, Green Bay and Philadelphia. So it may be manageable, yep, but tough.
Yeah, really tough. And you know, like you talked about, the first 5, you got 3-2 would be a really great record coming out of that. And then, like you said, hold serve just a few miles from Wimbledon, if you will. I know what you did there, John. In a place that you know well. And I think the nuance of the schedule in London, playing these as they are, is I think the Jaguars can stay in the same hotel in London. So some of the logistics will be a little different, a little more Jaguar friendly, I think, this year, with the Wembley game as the 3rd of the 3 London games this year.
Now, when we look at their schedule and they come back, we've noticed that we're going to go over the next 5 weeks or so after that. They have a late bye this year. Some teams choose to take that bye when they come back from London. Doug Peterson's been on the record. He likes to have a later bye, so we're not going to see a bye for the team until week 12. So that means when the team comes back from London, they'll play at home against the Vikings, then head out on the road against the Lions the next week. They're not going to be playing on Thanksgiving. There were some rumors about that, but they'll be off the bye the week before that. Then the following week, they'll play the Texans here in Jacksonville, and then head out on the road for week 14 against the Titans. JP coming back, it's going to be tough. It's a late bye, which is good if you're rolling early, but if things are dragging along, it might seem like a while until you get that week off.
Yeah, we know Doug Peterson's history. He loves to have that little later bye. That way you can gear up for a final stretch run, and let's hope the Jags are in that place where they can gear up for that stretch run at this point. We mentioned those games before, Packers, Eagles, and then following up with the Vikings and Lions. I mean, this month stretch of games right here is as tough as it gets because the Packers have a great quarterback. They certainly think so, and he played well down the stretch last year. The Eagles are what they are. Sunday night in South Philly, tough environment. Vikings can be the Vikings. of good. They can be the Vikings of bad. You never know. And the Lions are one of the hottest teams in the NFC, and they should be at that point. They've paid everybody and their brother there, John. So this is this is not quite murderer's row, but it's pretty darn tough.
Well, it's the second of two really difficult stretches. I guess the good news is, if I'm reading this right, you have a bye right before the Houston game. That's good because you hope that you have played well enough, bare minimum, against what I think is a really tough early schedule. You want to be in range. 4 of your last 6 are against the South. Start that off against Houston. You would like maybe a week off to get ready for that stretch. If you're in range, you're in good shape.
All right, let's look at the last 4 games of the year. We got a couple of divisional matchups, of course, and then a home game and a road game. So we're going to face off against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers and company will come to town week 15 and then head to Las Vegas just before Christmas on the 22nd of December. Then we're going to face off against the Titans here in Jacksonville. And then on the road will be the final regular season game that hasn't been, that'll be either the 4th or the 5th of January. That's TBD, of course, depending on playoff implications, primetime, all that stuff. So, John, when you're looking at this to close out, obviously you have 2 divisional matchups, but what are your thoughts at the end of this schedule?
Well, it's so tough to really analyze the end of a schedule because so much with injuries. By the time you get to this, so much has happened that looks so different. I think what I took away from the last part of the season, not so much the last 4, but those last 6, with 4 division games, 2 of them with Tennessee, which was the 4th place team last year. The good news is that they're the 4th place team. The bad news is they're Tennessee, and that's always tough. If you can get to week, 11, with 6 more to go, in range, you have a chance to pull everybody back in because you've got 4 division games. How it's going to shake out, I don't know with injuries, but you can get yourself into a situation where you can play back into it, which JP is basically what they did in 2022 when they won the thing.
Right, and I mean they're all AFC games in that last 6-week stretch as well. If you're coming down to playoff seeding and rankings and all that, that matters at this point. And we'll see, obviously, with the Jets, is Aaron Rodgers there at that point with the health and everything coming back. The Raiders, it's a long trip out to Las Vegas. It's the weekend before Christmas, and then coming home against Tennessee and then visiting Indy. Let's see about that game. It usually comes down to those final 2 weeks. All this stuff that happens, if the team's in contention, usually you're not going to seal the division December 1st. It's designed this way to come down to the very end, and I think we have hopefully some excitement in store if they can handle some business in those tougher stretches early, Kai.
We see a lot of those tough stretches there. Obviously, you look at it as a whole, doesn't look overly easy for them, but we did mention that this will help them stay focused on that week-to-week focus here for the team. Now that the schedule's out, head to Jaguars.com for more information and to buy your tickets.